Welcome to The Weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Chris.
And this week on The Weekly, Replicant Rebellion. Battletech 40th anniversary. So they're changing the box. Adobe dismisses photography, so the the war against the machines continues, and Outgunned adventure, so the new genre we were talking about for Outgunned. So yeah, let's start with, so possibly this will give us a chance to go back to Blade Runner before the third case file comes out, because cool. we're kind of stalled because any decisions like I make as far as advancing the story may like step on the toes of the pre-written adventure. Okay. So if, like, characters will knock characters out or have a different thing, and it would be a shame because I want to see how this whole thing kind of plays out, because already they've escalated it in an interesting way. But so the Blade Runner role-playing game by Free League has now a new what they call a source book and an asset pack. Okay. So this is adding the ability to work for the Replicant Underground. So your characters that you create are all Blade Runners. Yep. And so this lets you do jobs, because you're not all, by the book, straight-laced guys. This will give you a chance to work for, if you have sympathies towards replicants, to work for the Underground, or just, to make money. So these are the rules on how to do that. And so the very first expansion, so similar to Alien, it seems like they're like fleshing out each aspect of the world and giving you more things. So, and this will also be more of a campaign. The case files are very limited. They're literally on a timetable where you have like 3 or 4 days to complete something before a final showdown, kind of in a cinematic way, similar to Alien. And this will I assume, unless it's going to be mission based, so they do put you on a clock, it's going to be working for replicants, and maybe you can kind of string together your jobs and build things out. So of course you're still working for the LAPD, and all of this takes place in the timeline between the first and second films. But you can abandon your post, essentially, at the LAPD and join the Replicant Underground. So there's already, in the first 2 case files, you've run across it, you've run into locations, so it's already been spelled out, like where operations are happening, where they're getting disguised replicants off world, and so that thing, all that stuff is already in motion.
So this is like fleshing out stuff that's already there rather than adding something completely new.
Yeah, right, yeah. And especially in the second case file, they specifically showed you a location that was all replicants protecting each other and helping people get off. And this was, I think, but we didn't. This wasn't really established. This was established more thoroughly in the second film. There wasn't really hints of it in
Which is a mess of a movie. Sorry.
The first film. Yes, so you can become a member of the movement, running your own independent crew, missions on behalf of the Underground, so laying charges of explosives, sabotaging replicant trade, and smoking out moles. So, basically, but it's going to be the same morality of being stuck between a rock and a hard place, because, you're going to be working against companies and serving replicants, and if you're a human doing that, you're going to have to really be sure about yourself, so it'll kind of keep being called into question. So so similar to what Free League did with Alien RPG, kind of fleshing out, like, these are colonial marines, these are colonists, kind of building out the world. So this is going to be on Kickstarter at the end of the month, so May 28th, just a few days, May 28th. And they did a little bit of an update on Facebook. So just like things similar pre-orders, their previous pre-orders, if you pledge, you'll have the PDF version months ahead of the official release, so you can start playing earlier. And the asset pack will use both Replicant Rebellion. You can use it in both the Replicant Rebellion and the core game. So the asset pack will include a host of physical and digital handouts and tools for the game runner to create their own case file. So that's the thing that they really did well with Blade Runner, because you're playing a case and you're throwing file photos and manila envelopes and pamphlets and pages torn out of magazines and stuff all over the table. It'll look like what your desk would essentially be like during an investigation.
What if you're a very neat?
Oh, there'll be 3 discrete files. Yes. That was good to see that they're still supporting. So not just with their pre-written adventures, but they're supporting your ability to continue playing Blade Runner. So this might be a fun thing. It'll be interesting to try to tempt the players the way that they've built themselves. Now we've got 2 replicant Blade Runners and 1 human. And we've already, in this last case file, spoilers, it's now known that there are black market bootleg, what they called them, bootleg replicants that can impersonate people. You can make a copy of someone. So that gets crazy. That's introduced in the first scene, so hopefully it's not too big a spoiler if you haven't played it yet. Right? Premise, yes. And so this should be fun, and it might be something to tide us over until
cool.
Until the next case file comes. We'll have to see. There's a long list. I don't know if we're going to be able to slot it in anywhere. Lots of stuff to play. And yes, and so this is the 50th anniversary of D&D, but it's the 40th anniversary of Battletech. I was like, yeah, that's right. 80s, right? Yeah, 84. So the debut for the first Battletech game, tabletop game, was 1984, and then, of course, now supported by video games, novels, and TV. Wow. Yeah. So, and I guess they're sticking with the name that it's always been. I'm not sure if the original. I'm not like an old school fan, but now the base set is always called Battletech: A Game of Armored Combat, and so it's this. Oh, it was maybe out of camera. This guy up here. So it's basically their beginner set, but like a starting set. So it gives you a lot more. It's a higher price tag, but it gives you a lot more. And kind of throws you in. It doesn't kind of ease you through the rules. It kind of gives you everything.
Here's everything.
Yeah. So this special 40th anniversary edition, I don't think they're going to do anything stupid. They did like a few Target exclusives previously. I think this is going to just be out there. It's going to be $60 retail and be on shelves June 12th. So
that's reasonable for kind of a box.
Yeah. It's a lot of stuff too. So they're going to change the box art to update for the anniversary. You're going to get 8 miniatures, a 56-page rulebook, 16-page record sheet, 16-page universe primer, a 24-page novella, and cards and dice. And I think if it's like this set also, there'll be stand-ups as well. So you don't need models for everything. You can have a lot more models on the board because some of them are plastic miniatures and some of them are just cardboard. Nice. But if you can't wait until June, this original kind of base set is pretty much discounted everywhere around $48. The beginner box, which is only 2 models, but really helps you to learn the game. It's like a really good starting point for the game, is only $24. But of course, you're getting a lot less. You're getting everything. There's only 2 pieces of plastic, some dice, and then a lot of cardboard and paper. But so celebrate the 40th anniversary of Battletech, and of course, there's also the Alpha Strike box, and Alpha Strike box is about retail $60, but about $54 online, and then the original base game, $48. Oh, and Clan Invasion is around $42. So and then there's all the supporting books and stuff. There's a lot of, and then they do neoprene hex maps and stuff. There's lots of good stuff. And something else that's getting a reprint, but this hasn't happened for a while, and I don't trust it because of just the kind of game that it is. So Talisman is getting a reprint. It hasn't been it's been out of print for quite a while. Originally released in '83, so just a year before Battletech. But there's August 1st. You're going to be able to get the 5th edition of Talisman, and that game is so frustrating and unplayable.
Well, it's just kind of like I think I've played Talisman, and all you do is roll 2 dice to see what move, and you can choose which direction you go around the board.
Yeah, and you're just like and then it's the expansions are just like concentric paths, and you're just trying, you're going around. It's like a cursed almost Monopoly game, because you're just going around, and based on where you land, you're doing things, and your character may or may not have an ability that does anything to affect the game. Yeah, but I was surprised that also getting a reprint is Talisman at this time. Not the only game. But that's also
it's nostalgia, right? That's who would buy it. Or maybe not, but that seems to be the market, right?
And it also means that Talisman is 40 years old as well. 41 years old. That's crazy. I guess it explains the gameplay, the mechanics. But we definitely need a bumper for this. But for our next story, it is the humanity's war against the machine. The Butlerian Jihad will be coming any day now. So there's a story about the American Society of Media Photographers, the ASMP. So they published an open letter to Adobe's software, saying that the company's latest round of ads on social media were a shocking dismissal of photography and the photographers who have dedicated their lives in creating it. So a site, photography site called Petapixel, was reporting that Adobe was running advertisements where their little tagline was "Skip the photo shoot, go straight to AI." So yeah, it was, basically Adobe is all for eliminating the job of model, photographer, makeup artist, dresser, lighting techs. I know they're in the.
Well, they don't get any money from that stuff.
That's
so why would they be
What's
interested in it, right?
Yeah, so it's like the tools are turning on, because that's kind of the industry standard, is to use Photoshop to clean up professional photographs, and they've always been able to work with very high res files. Like Photoshop has always been a great tool for that. Maybe not the highest level, but always very friendly to like different levels of photographer. And now they're just kind of turning on them and saying, yeah, actually we're going to take the creation of everything, and so now it's only editing. Like, content already exists. We consider the content as in existence for perpetuity, and our AI will just create it for you. So a quote from Gabriella Marks from the ASMP is, "As one of the largest professional photography associations representing photographers and all visual creators, as our 6,500 members well know, creating photography is harder than ever, with the average photographer having to navigate stolen images, copyright infringement, broken business promises, and now the specter of wholesale replacement of their art and craft by AI." Yes, so it seems like it's, and so referring to this advertising, "As with this attack, an attack on the creativity of the photographer, on the skill and nuance they bring to the photo shoot, and the countless hours that they spend preparing for and working after the photo shoot, you are so cavalier to simply throw that away." And so they emphasize this by saying Adobe should take a hard look at how it describes photography and photographers and determine if you support this industry or wish to aid in its destruction.
I think the answer to that's pretty clear.
Yeah. If you're not going to pay, if not everyone, so they're basically, the ideal thing they would want the people using their software and the people viewing the images that are created by the software to all pay a subscription. And then Adobe would be so happy.
You mean like Adobe Bridge?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
Did anybody ever use it? The only time I ever opened Adobe Bridge is when I misclicked trying to open something else.
When you accidentally open it, yes. And then there was a quote from Adobe. Yes, the longtime CEO said, I'm not going to do the accent, but this is the reality. Sorry. The reality is that there are way many more. What? Okay, one more time.
Yep.
The reality is that there are way more stories that people want to tell than skills that exist to be able to tell that story with the soul that they want and the emotion that they want. Okay, English is probably not his first language. Jeez.
Or it is, and that's just bullshit.
Yeah, right. Wow, that's messy. So there was an interview with the.
So basically, the CEO is saying, okay, and I don't disagree with the first part, right? There are lots of stories. Everybody has stories to tell, right? And they want to do that visually. But the fact that there are more stories than skills, right? I don't know. I think. Well, the biggest problem here is, of course, corporate greed.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Where, like you said, Adobe you would think that Adobe would say, great, photographers and stuff, they're using our software, we're making money off this, but it's not enough. Mm-hmm. Right? So now, skip that, save your money, because you're going to need it to pay for the subscriptions for our stuff. Right? Jesus Christ. But, I mean, there's, in all of AI, there seems to be this, I don't know, idea that the end user somehow deserves the ability to create works of art without putting in the work to develop the skill. And I get that, right? Like watching my kid draw, she goes, this is not as good as yours, right? And kind of get disheartened, and sure, who doesn't, right? As a kid of the 80s who was part of the mentally gifted program, if I don't go immediately, I'm awesome at this, well, I've lost interest, right? Right. So I get it, right? I understand. But stuff made by a person is just infinitely better than stuff slopped out by a machine, right?
Well, that's basically picking the bones of previous works. It's not doing anything but just kind of Frankensteining. And I don't think it's ever going to get past that point. There's never going to be inspiration within AI.
Okay, I hate that it's called artificial intelligence because it's not intelligent.
Right.
Right? It's just It's just being able to navigate huge data sets and find connections and then spit those connections out in a way that appears to make sense. Unless and until AI actually becomes intelligent, there's no way it's going to be able to know, like, nuance or have any kind of... I lost my train of... What's the word I'm looking for here, right? Like, it's not going to be able to filter stuff through the lens of, like, a person and decide what gets highlighted, what kind of emotion you're doing. Like, it doesn't have emotion. It doesn't have emotion. It doesn't have focus. It doesn't have any kind of message. It's just, oh, this is an image of a dog.
Yeah.
I guess, right? I don't know.
Yeah, but you see that with machine translation between languages. Languages that have very different systems. It just is mechanically looking. This equals this. This equals this. This equals this, and spits out incomprehensible nonsense. And because language has levels of politeness, levels of subtext, it's never going to be able to do that. Like, ever. So it's funny that it's being pursued so hard. So another excerpt from this open letter. So talking about great photography is born in the vision of the photographer first. It is not mechanical. It is not replaceable by a button or an algorithm. Despite your intimation, great photography is more than pixels. It is passion.
Yep, I can agree with that. Yep.
Yeah, so that full open letter is reproduced on the ASMP's site to Adobe. And if you're interested, definitely take a look. So they're basically, and I think the latest AI lawsuit is Scarlett Johansson is going after open whatever the
one of
the ChatGPT guys. Because they were doing a project where they wanted to use her voice. She refused. Then they just simulated it.
I thought it was they got something that was so, not her, but so close,
right.
Even close friends and relatives couldn't distinguish.
Right. That would confuse her friends and relatives. And all just inspired because these people are so simple. Oh, yeah, remember the movie Her?
That was an uncomfortable movie.
Where the AI had Scarlett Johansson's voice. Let's do our project. Let's use her voice for our project. Because they had the money to throw at her, and luckily she has some integrity and said,
the article I read is like, okay, they approach her, right? Why would you think that someone who went up against Disney and won wouldn't come after your ass?
No, that's very true. That's very true. So but that's the arrogance as well. It's like, oh well, we'll just simulate something close enough. We don't need her. There's enough of her voice out there. I don't know. I mean, this is dragged on long enough. But like, it's got to be projection, right? Like, there is a level of money where I would say yes to anything. Therefore, everyone else has this level of money. So let's just do it and like throw some money at this person because they'll say yes, right? That's got to be it. Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's sad. So take a look at that letter, and we'll continue to watch from afar as everything is dismantled and sold off. But so just one last thought. My expectation is what's going to happen is this is all just beta testing and like letting people screw around with stuff for free. As soon as this actually becomes something valuable, it's going to be paywalled at an enterprise level that no one will be able to afford. So only big companies, technology companies and movie studios will be able to pay the $10,000 a week or whatever it costs to use it. So we won't be able to touch it. But thank you very much for telling us what was wrong with it. And now all your TV and movies are going to be made by this garbage. So
I don't have any choices.
I'm waiting for that crazy kind of corporate level paywall to slam down and say, oh yeah, we don't have private users. What are you a corporation? Well, no, then you can't use our software.
Let's get to that price.
So we'll see. But let's end on a positive note.
All right.
So something going to BackerKit, a new BackerKit project. Ooh. So Outgunned Adventure by Two Little Mice. So previously, and I'll put the link to the unboxing, cool. I opened up the Action Hero Pledge for Outgunned and looked at all the goodies in there. And they did nice kind of, what's that called? The
presentation?
The book size. The kind of, they're not quite A5, B4. It's kind of in between there, but a nice handy book size plus... nice presentation for PDFs and stuff to hand out for everybody. And then a lot of the other nice thing that they did is they put a lot of things on cards. So if you need the mechanics of a feat or something that you have, it's on a card laying next to your character sheet, and you're not passing around a single rulebook.
I'm a fan of easily accessible information.
Yes,
namely cards.
Yeah,
right?
I think it works really well. And then also for all the currency that you're keeping track of, like the different wealth, and then the status effects, it's got a card that's two-sided, so it can be turned over. So it's been a while. Unexplored jungles, lost pyramids, and cursed temples. Collapsing floors, creaky bridges, poison darts, fire jets, and rolling boulders. Everything you would expect. So adventure is back. So Outgunned Adventure is a pulp adventure game inspired by the classic genres Indiana Jones, The Mummy, the 99 Mummy.
Yep.
And
the horrible Tom Cruise thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
That was the worst.
I completely forgot.
No, it wasn't the worst. It was bad. There are worse movies, but that was bad. Right? Anyway.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. So this is the first what they're calling the genre book in their Outgunned line. So it's a standalone or an expansion for the base Outgunned experience. So the game system they use is called the Director's Cut. It's small pools of D6s to determine the outcome of heroes' actions. When you're rolling the dice, the score, you're trying to not score the highest or lowest possible. You're trying to roll 2, 3, or 4 of a kind. And those are levels of successes. And you can kind of turn 2 successes into a higher success. Like there's different ways that you can kind of control like how you want that outcome to read. And then there's also pushing mechanics where you can push rolls and then you can go all in and all or nothing kind of re-roll.
Interesting. So okay, quick mechanic question. Since you're not thinking of other dice pool systems, right? Like yes, you are trying to roll high numbers, but in this one, you're just trying to roll the most of a specific number, right? Like 4 2s is still better than 3 1s.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think the value. No, any of a kind. I just mean if you get two doubles, I think you can make that a triple. You know, I think there's ways.
So two pairs of matching symbols. You can get to a higher level. So you can kind of upgrade your successes with smaller successes, but the rules are a little. There's like a little kind of conversion chart for how to get because you want the best result possible. I want to go look at this because I've thought about using like poker mechanics to resolve stuff, and it's not a hurdle, but like. Not as many people are familiar with like the ranks of poker hands as they are with just saying that's a high number.
Right.
So I want to go look at this.
Yeah. Yes. So this is of course by Two Little Mice, and they've been putting updates of things that are going to be available. Also included in this campaign will be Action Flicks Volume 2. So Volume 1 was included in their first base game, and this basically we were talking about before the podcast is it gives you a different genre, kind of fantasy action genre to play, and gives you a different character sheet and a few other added mechanics to make it make sense. So there's basically weapons and vehicles, so it changes what the weapons and vehicles are capable of doing. If you're playing sci-fi fantasy, you're not going to have a revolver in it. It gives you spaceship rules and things. And so the two that have been added so far have been Wild West and Star Knights. So Wild West is exactly what you'd think is a western movie scenario, and then Star Knights is kind of in the first volume they did a generic space fantasy. This is specifically light versus dark Star Knights. So
it's Star Wars.
Yeah, so it's Star Wars, but maybe mainly focusing on like Jedi and sword fighting and things. So a balance between good and evil.
Which means you got to have both, dumbasses, right? I thought you would bring balance to the Force. Oh, because sorry,
I'm just gray. I'm playing a gray character. There'll be another mission dossier created, so an entry level mission that you can use the free starting rules just to play. With if you want to jump right in. So this one will be called The Fall of Atlantis. The previous one was Project Medusa. And one more thing that they're doing is a new supplement called The Assistant Director. So this is going to be a PDF only, unless the campaign does really well. There's a possibility that it'll be something else, but basically what this is the designer Matt Kay is going to give you hints, suggestions, and random tables to create your own single shot or campaign games with ease. So there's a little bit of instruction about that, but it has to kind of focus on specific genres. So it kind of gives you an idea, how to run a heist or how to run, and it's, I guess, not quite a genre, a supplement. They had World of Killers, which is basically John Wick. It's a hotel and a bunch of assassins. Basically how to play John Wick. So this will give you more freedom and guidelines to do it yourself.
I wonder if this could do James Bond now.
Oh, it can.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the Secret Agent is one.
Gotcha. I'm going to have to look at it because I picked up the whatever 1950 Casino Royale, the first James Bond book by Uniform. Amazing that like that guy also did Shitty Shitty Bang Bang, right?
Yes.
Anyway, James Bond is a psychopath, right? Like he is not okay, right? Like anyway, but this made me think, okay, you could probably do James Bond and would you want to play that, right? So I'm interested in looking at this because as someone who is constantly saying that mechanics should support the genre of game you are playing, I'm always interested to see how mechanics or systems adapt themselves to play different genres, right? Because I think that's important instead of just going, yeah, this game can do everything.
Right.
Well, maybe it can, but it's going to be the most generic game in the universe, right? I attack with weapon, or right?
Yes,
so, like, yeah, adapt the game, and things are going to have to be different for different genres. And I'm repeating myself, but I want to see how they go about doing that.
When I looked, that volume 1 of the flicks, what do they call it? The summer flicks. The first volume of that, when I action flicks, when I opened it up and looked at the table of contents, I'm like, no way, impossible, because it was literally, Star Wars, Ghostbusters, Harry Potter, a bunch of stuff. I'm just like you could see what they were, going after. You could see what they were kind of referring to without directly saying anything trademarked or whatever, and saying that's impossible. But then when you look at, so they make these changes on the character sheet, and then they make some mechanical changes. So you can't do this. You can't. There's certain things you wouldn't be able to do in certain things, and so I think it might work. It doesn't do everything because you're focusing on like adrenaline based action. So if you have something that's really talky or really strategic, it's not the mechanics aren't gonna suit
now
that.
You've given me a challenge. I want to go look at the system do a like Jane Austen kind of thing when the system is adrenaline. I don't see how to adapt that, right?
Yes.
I wonder if you could do something where like
Jane Austen on adrenaline.
Okay, well that was a joke, right? Okay, only because you said like adrenaline, right? And kind of like action stuff. I wonder if it would be enough if the character was internally kind of doing stuff, even if they didn't show it outwardly, right?
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because that's there's so much, especially Japanese entertainment that has that, but that has that internal, like they're expressing, like the characters are acting out an internal thing, but actually you wouldn't see that. Like that would be invisible because they're visually depicting, their anxiety or whatever with a crazy gesture or crazy sound, but you don't see that. And so that would be interesting to have like the effects on the real world and then the internal combat.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking internal combat, but okay, that'd be cool. Like I'm just burning on kind of Japanese media, man. Like, like how many cool, no emotion people can you like? It gets boring. Like when everyone's kind of cool and no emotion, it's like, I don't want to watch these. And then like the side characters are like, oh, that's where all the goofiness went, and it just feels like too. It feels too disjointed for me. Anyway, sorry.
But it's a style. Yeah, it's definitely a cultural thing. I think it came from the stage and things.
I think it has. I think it has. Right where we're getting in the Japanese culture here. Where like that was my guess as well. Having done no research, I'm like, this would work great on a stage where you have to over exaggerate everything to kind of make up for the lack of kind of props and whatever. And that's now shifted to kind of like TV, and you've kept that, and it's a choice. Right.
It is a choice, that's for sure.
Right.
All right. So that will be going live very shortly. We got a notice, I think it's either today or tomorrow. I'm sorry, I don't have the date for Outgunned Adventure, but Matt in the online actual play group did want to run the free starter for this adventure version, so we'll get a taste because I have like 5 pre-gen characters and just I'm sure going to throw you in a collapsing temple or something.
Like cold open. That's how you start a pulp adventure. Cold open.
Yes.
Yep. So you're all running from a rolling boulder. Sorry, what?
The plane seems to be having mechanical difficulties. You're going down in the jungle. Yeah.
Or the cold open of you have a gold idol on the pedestal in front of you, a bag of sand on the other. What do you do? Go.
Yeah, so it should be fun. I'm looking forward to giving the system a shot, and they're already supporting it with online alchemy and different. I think Two Little Mice are doing a good job of, if their campaigns are successful enough, they unlock the alchemy module, which, because their production quality and their illustrations are so good, works really well with a very visual heavy VTT. Yes. So that's good for them to do, and so I'll keep track of this and keep a lookout on our live streams to see if adventure pops up. And well, that should be should be fun because it'll be totally different from what we're doing now. The political maneuvering of Dune will seem like a distant memory after we jump out of an airplane.
Yeah.
All right, so that will do it for this week. Where can people find you?
On social media. That's Hivemind, HYVEMYND, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook groups, but not normal Facebook because that's just a cesspool. Latest I was doing for World Goth Day.
Oh, is that today?
No, it was a couple days ago.
Okay. Oh, I missed
Screw Rome, right? World Goth Day. I was working on the 6mm Gothic/Vandal warband for Lion Rampant 2nd Edition.
Nice.
So, yep, that's me.
Oh, very cool.
How about you?
And I'm trying to do once I heal up, I'll be doing my single panel gag cartoon on the live stream. So that's Abuse Cartoons on YouTube and Twitch, and you can read the cartoon at GoComics. So gocomics.com/domestic abuse. And if you like what we're doing here on the weekly, consider becoming a weekling.
The strongest of all supporters.
Yes, visit patreon.com/upturntable. So pledge at any of the tiers and basically let us know what you like seeing on the channel. The lore videos, the reviews, actual plays, and the weekly, of course, which happens every week.
Yep.
Fortunately, I'm glad we chose
that name.
It's
almost like we named it that way on purpose, yeah.
It worked out okay. And then Upturned Table is the website.com is the website for everything on all social media, Upturned Table. And I got some fun stuff to open. Mantic has declared this the summer of sci-fi, so I'll be opening a random box of Mantic goodies.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I love those. I mean, they're just clearing out their warehouses, but I fool myself like I got a surprise.
I got a present. Yeah.
But so we'll be back again next week to do this again, and see you then.
Later, mortals.
Goodbye.